the perspective from what I want to talk today is not as me as an activist. I'm very deeply committed, as many of you know, and I look back to this time last year and how it felt. But I want to put that aside, because my day job was primarily, for the best part of 20 years, political strategy. So the technical processes of how they go about changing opinions and influencing. And that's the perspective that I want to primarily talk about today. And there's one overwhelming message that I hope people take from what I'm about to say, and that is, you do not win referendums during referendums. And this is something which I am a bit worried about when you look at the drift, some of the drift of just how the conversations among our movement have been going, as if the key is to get the next referendum. And that is leading people into a chain which is suggesting, so what is the external factor that will trigger the next referendum? Now, I'm worried that if you follow this spiral, it takes you further and further downwards into making it such that the next referendum is outside our control. So, we win it during the referendum, and to get there, we hope there's a Brexit. I hate that term. All the way down to the bottom, which disempowers us. Now, that's a good way to lose. A good way to win is to identify the way we get through and win the next referendum as if the outside world was neutral. Now, the outside world is never neutral. Things happen. It's just that you don't know what they are. So I was told quite confidently by a senior campaigner during the referendum that a big boost for yes would come when England elected a lot of UKIP MEPs and Scotland didn't elect any. Now, I heard that 2 or 3 times during the referendum, and I kept saying, what if it doesn't happen? And they said, don't worry, it'll be fine. That's not what happened. So imagine, the outside world is never neutral. If you want to win something, you must behave like it is, as if your capacity to win is solely in your hands. And that's the key. There is no trigger for another referendum. I want to argue this as clearly as possible. There is no constitutional or theoretical trigger from the outside world that means that we should have another referendum. There is one reason only why we should have another referendum and why we will have another referendum, and that is when you get a consistent enough proportion of the Scottish population saying they want to vote yes. That's it. If there's 51% of people say they want to vote yes, bluntly, that isn't even a strong enough reason for another referendum. We need to get to the point where 60 to 65% of people over the course of a year consistently want to vote yes. At that point, we take a referendum. There is no external factor that can reasonably stop it. So cast aside, my God, I'm popping away here. Cast aside all the discussion about what trigger gives us another referendum, and instead focus on the fact that we will take another referendum when we manufacture the consistent support for an independence vote. So, now that we've, assuming anyone's following me, this and agreeing, now that we've kind of worked out or accepted that we don't win referendums during referendums, why are we waiting for the next yes campaign? But that's, for me, that for me is the heart of this. To get to the 60 to 65%, to move to there, we must actively, proactively move people to 65%. It will not just happen, and even if it was going to happen on the back of something crazy Osborne does, we cannot bank on it. It is a position of weakness to hope that somebody else moves your people to where you want them to be. So, everyone's looking like they're going to clap here. I don't stop talking. Just don't worry, just don't bother clapping, just nod if you agree, and I'll take that as plenty. So, what moves people? There's a few things here, but first of all, I want to pick up on Mike and Ivan's session. Elections, and in particular referendums, almost any binary decision, is a confidence trick. It is a trick of confidence. Nobody really knows whether crossing the road is going to kill them or not. Okay, so you stand at the side of the road. If I cross, I might get run down and killed. It is your confidence that you probably won't that leads you to cross the road. And about 999 times in 100 we're right. More than that. It's the confidence that makes you believe it's okay to cross the roads. If you are standing at the side of a motorway and you're looking and you're thinking 50-50 if I make this, you don't have the confidence to go. So, translate that into what we need to do to get that next referendum. We need confidence. And I'm going to explain two ways in which I think we need to pursue that. And I'm going to do the one that I'm not talking about first, because I did that this morning in Pilton. And that is, we must identify the groups who are vulnerable and weak in Scottish society and make them feel less vulnerable and less weak, because a lot of them voted no. And in particular, I'm thinking about pensioners who are not in high incomes, who had, they're at a stage in their life when if something bad happens to them, they feel exposed and they feel it difficult. Now, we don't have control over pensions, but we have control over things in the Scottish policy agenda which would enable us to make the life of a pensioner more secure. Housing, supply of energy, food, these sorts of things. If we can get through the next 5 years with a policy agenda which helps people feel that somehow they have ended those 5 years feeling more secure in Scotland than they felt in Britain, you're starting to create that kind of a confidence. Now,